We have our Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Richard Allen, and he's just going to briefly, 10 minutes, just take a deep dive into the routes. And after his presentation, I'm going to ask our panelists to join us to have a discussion. Mr. Richard Allen.
There's an energy in this room, and it's synergy. There's an energy in this room, and it's synergy. This morning I saw we had lawyers in the audience, we had economists, we had mathematicians. And I went to college with a professor who gave us this story. He said that if you ask a mathematician how much is 2 and 3, he would say 4.99999. If you ask an economist how much is 2 and 3, he would say somewhere between 3 and 5. If you ask a lawyer how much is 2 and 3, he would say, tell me, how much do you want it to be? Actually, this project is really going to be a game changer for the Caribbean, because in between Copenhagen and Malmo, in Scandinavia, they built a bridge. In between the UK and the European mainland, they built the channel. We are connecting the Caribbean in the only way that we can possibly do it, by establishing a maritime corridor. I'm not going to be reading all that so you can take your photos or whatever. We're going to get straight to the routes. This is basically a synopsis of the vessels we are looking at. It's not yet written in stone because we have to adjust what we're doing to the needs, but we're basically going to have a Ro-Ro passenger type vessel. It's going to be underutilized at first because really and truly, as was mentioned earlier this morning, we need to somewhat to have harmonization of the legislation, and so where one can get in one's car and drive and be able to drive off it. But that will come, because I believe that this service is actually going to be a catalyst, as our president said, for wealth development and growth within the Caribbean. The cruise ferry, primarily for passengers and the luggage, that's going to be really good because we're going to try to make it as comfortable as possible, you know, and as was stated earlier, it provides the advantage because from my other life, we saw that you had great potential of developing tourism and so from Barbados within the sovereign Caribbean and so, and because of Barbados's position, we can offer itineraries that will go south, north combination. So we're very well positioned. And even though our initial routes are kind of little, I'm sure that it's not cast in stone, and we will adjust according to the demand, and as we're able to build the demand for the service. We're going to have multi-purpose Ro-Ro, lift on and Ro-Ro. Lift on, lift off, that's where the vessel can help itself with its crane and also be able to take off the Ro-Ro cargo. And importantly, as mentioned, we'll be able to carry agricultural produce without having to have them in like reefer containers, so that therefore you can carry like smaller loads and so forth. And then we're going to have, well, we're looking at this, but what's that is a sort of landing craft unit, because one of the things that we are aware of that within the Caribbean, there's varying developments within the port. So the port facilities are so diverse that we really have to, really try to match the vessels to the port environment that we're dealing with. As I've heard, you have to, a tailor has to cut the suit to match the cloth. Okay. Right. Just looking at the routes, but you saw this one already, but basically it's one of the earlier routes that we're going to start with. And it's important to get especially down to Guyana and Suriname, particularly from the perspective that Suriname, in terms of the agricultural produce, I mean, throughout the region, we are rice eaters. And even in Trinidad, there's a great market for that. And Suriname is one of those areas that really produces a lot of rice. So there's the possibility of that growth, that development in the region. And also, importantly, a kind of import substitution as well, where we're able to, as again, as Ambassador would have said, we're able to retain more of the money that's going out of the region and have it circulated in the region and build wealth within the region. So basically the first route, which is important, is be able now to get to Martinique. And that's quite easy because right now there's a ferry that runs between St. Lucia and Martinique anyhow. And I mean, initially my thought is not necessarily to try to push anybody out of business, but I think that competition is always good for you because it helps you to maintain a very good quality of service and so forth. But that basically is how we plan to use, and we plan to roll that out very early in the service. That's one of going to be one of the first routes that we'll use. And as was stated, the good thing is that it helps you, apart from improving and building up regional tourism, it also will help you to, it's advantageous because again, like there's not really going to be like any restriction in the amount of luggage, for instance, that you can carry. Cargo, yes, we'll charge for cargo, but you're not as restricted as in terms of the air. Okay, next. Right, this is where we have now this is quite an itinerary. And one of the challenges that we're going to have and which we're really going to have to work on is we have fairly packed schedules and itineraries for these vessels. So therefore we have to, first of all, know very well the ports that we are going to be working with, what facilities are available, because we are going to have some very tight schedules to maintain, so we can't afford delays. So the knowledge of the ports, the infrastructure, having the vessels to match it is going to be fairly critical for us. But we believe we have the benefit of a lot of research and information in terms of the passenger flows, the cargo movements, and so forth. So we believe that we will be able to achieve that. And as was mentioned, I don't know if it was mentioned earlier, but a ship doesn't earn money in a port. It costs you money. It only earns you money when it's on the sea, and I just like, I recently did not 2 years ago, I did a trip to Cayman, was doing a little consultancy there. And there was a problem where it was around the time of COVID and the pilot was not available. And that ship was delayed. It was an oil tanker. It was delayed for 20 days before, sorry, 2 weeks, 2 weeks before they could get a pilot. It cost them $20,000 a day in demurrage, $20,000 a day. So that is one aspect that you really have to get going properly, and relationship with ports. I'm really glad that we are starting up in the last quarter of the year, because let us have the experience of knowing the ports, getting to know the ports, so that when the hurricane season comes around again, we know exactly how to deal with that. Good deal. Again, this is the route that I really love, because this to me is going to be the route that is going to give us that start in terms of the profitability. So you're starting with a need that is there, and markets that are present. So I really like this route. I think this is going to be one of the first ones that we really have to start with. This is the one that's going to give us a platform to work on without having to really build it up. Okay. Then, importantly, we're going to go to as far as Jamaica and the Dominican Republic. I have a cousin in Jamaica. He works actually he's with CARICOM in terms of export and so forth. And he was looking to get to a meeting in St. Lucia. And the first option that they gave him, that they were looking at, was that he would have had to go to Miami first and then come down to Barbados and get to St. Lucia. Eventually then, he was able to get to Barbados. He had to overnight in Barbados to get next door to St. Lucia, right? When you see how we've rolled out this services in total, you will see that that will be a thing of the past. The connectivity of the region will be greatly enhanced. And well, this will be one of probably the later routes for us, but we're going to reach down to the ADC Islands. Again, apart from the cargo and so that you'll be getting there, you're also going to have the link then in terms of the passengers as well, because most of the vessels will have some little passenger capacity also. And probably this is going to be a great domicile for us during the hurricane season as well too. So, but that's going to be more in the phase two. The first for the other routes we mentioned will go in the phase one. Okay. And what you're seeing here is the total sort of rollout of the routing. And you will see that we are really going to connect the Caribbean. Thank you.